I am not entirely free to choose to love God. Because, in a sense, I've gone through a whole series of confirmations of His love and care for me. I'd be a madman not to love Him. Do you see? I mean, hopefully I've passed from death unto life and therefore don't need to be here any longer. From, that basic point of view, I don't mean I'm perfected yet, but but I am blowing my own trumpet by mistake. But you are free. If you haven't experienced these transcendent moments, perhaps all you've experienced is being in love and the world seeming completely different to you at such times. And you've wrongly attributed that to your view of the loveliness of your beloved. And you're flying, and good on you, bless you. But you're still free to choose to love your beloved and or to love God, and you'll probably try and do both for a while at some time in your life. But He's a bit of a jealous God, in a sense. You've got to put Him first. But not really jealous. He's really saying to you, look, I'm the way, and everything else is yours. It's all mine, and you're my son, my daughter, my child, my dear friend. But you have to put me first, or you'll end up going down some other avenue and getting lost. Well, not really, of course, because I shall come and get you. I shall follow you. In fact, I'll be with you all the way, but you won't know that. Do you see, the more I know God, the less I am free. I've come here, like you, because I needed my freedom. I needed the ignorance to be free, that I might pursue those bits and things that are in my being that are longing to take expression. So He gives me a universe in which I can do this, and it'll be of no great lasting cost. It'll just vanish into the eternity of time. And this is not your home anyway, this is just a school. You'll come back to heaven a lovelier person even than when you left. Bless you. You'll have sorted some things out. I loved you before and I love you still. See, we love our kids, hence the importance of that story. He's our dad. To know this in your heart. Well, you start to lose your freedom, of course, because you're madman if you don't do what Dad says, really. I mean, assuming he's a good dad and loves you, and we are assuming that, aren't we? Who would want to assume anything else? But do you see, you're the one that's free if you don't love God at the present. Because you're ignorant of God, in a sense. You don't know Him. This is life eternal, to know God. You're not in life eternal here. You're in the transitory experience of material life, which is very not eternal. It keeps changing all the time. Everything keeps coming and going, and nothing lasts here. Only the universe seems to last long itself. The stars scarcely seem to move in the heavens, apart from the planets, And, yes. But you see what I'm getting at, don't you? If you, in your ignorance, long for God, what does that say about you? Wow. The whole of heaven is singing because of you. It's as simple as that. It's party time. In a very spiritual way, you understand. But do you see, in your innocence, in your ignorance of what yourself may have been, if you like, not quite perfect in heaven, and a few things you wanted to sort out, and you came to earth, this universe, to do it, and you have. You found in uncertainty what you truly value, and it's his loving kindness, his personhood. Why? Because you're a child of God. And the miracles, the transcendent times, the synchronicities, the blessings, the insights, well, they're all evidence that this world is not your home. And it's getting near for you to return. It's not a thing to dread. On the contrary, the secular world dreads death, of course. But the children of God are delighted that they go to heaven. How do you wish to die? In this way or the way the secular die? Choose you this day whom you will serve. If you're a madman not to choose to want to trust God. So you say with Shadrach, Meshach and Abednego, and if our God does not rescue us from this fiery furnace that you are threatening us with, still we would not worship you. For I know whom I have believed, and am persuaded that he is able to keep that which I have delivered unto him against that day. So Paul has it right in the story by Paul, his letters. Death, where is thy sting? It's gone. It's vanished for you. To live is Christ, to die is gain. Because he's thinking of it in terms of Christ. It doesn't quite have the warm ring of terms of Jesus. But then he doesn't know the Jesus story. He only knows the Christ. You know there's 400-year, well perhaps you don't, but there's a 400-year gap supposedly in the Bible between Malachi, which was not the last book anyway of the Old Testament, but they stuck it there because it was a prophetic book. They put it in that created chronological order, and the birth of Jesus, supposedly, the story and so on. When the prophets didn't talk, there was a silence from heaven. Well, of course, there wasn't. There was a whole heap of literature which the established church of Constantine and so on did its very best to destroy, burn, wipe out, and murder all the people that believed in anything alternative to what the church doctrine was, which was a very primitive, literalist, story time interpretation and re-editing of everything they could get their hands on. It's as simple as that. And the persecution of the true Gnostic church was far greater than the exaggerated persecution by the Romans of the supposed correct fundamentalist literalist church. In fact, the persecution of the Christians by Rome only lasted a total, if you put it together, of something like 5 years. And was a pretty petty thing compared to the appalling genocide of a whole Gnostic setup that was Christianity. And we got traces and evidence of that in Marcion, who you probably never heard of. And but for the grace of God, you could never hear of, given the church's endeavour to wipe the memory of such out. But in fact, Marcionites, I think, lasted, well, I mean, good few hundred years, way into the dark ages of the Christian era. You know, what we call the Dark Ages, that sort of 1,000 years. Yeah, something like that. From Constantine can I say through to the Black Death? A bit further than that. Reformation. But something like 1,000 years, which we dismiss as Dark Ages and medievalism, the medieval times and so on. Medi was middle, wasn't it? Perhaps the Dark Ages finished something like 900 and something, and the medieval period, which was just as frightening from our point of view, continued up to, well, I mean, Henry VIII may have put English translations of the Bible in every church, but he was a pretty frightening, tyrannical character, wasn't he? I mean, what did he have? 6 wives, 2 of them beheaded, 1 of them divorced, 1 died. I don't know how it goes. I mean, you know, there's 6 of them to account for. Fell by the wayside. Frightening character. And well, why am I don't want to, I shouldn't dwell on evil, should I? No. To return to where I wanted to start this recording, but of course, the ith recording, it's going to be all I, isn't it? I'm sorry about that. You are in the period of freedom. Choose you this day whom you will serve. It was also said, choose in your youth, don't leave it to your old age. Come in the flower of life. Do it now, and your life will unfold heavenward. It's as simple as that. How lovely to just choose God when you're young, and so many do. You know, they say, oh, at the age of 11, you know, or, I mean, some go back to the age of 7. Just astonishing. I don't think I was holding together as a person when I was 7. Still recovering, I think, in a way from... I'm not going into that. It's all I, isn't it? Bless you, and you are blessed. Thank you, Heavenly Dad.